Hello, welcome back to another episode of Battle Knight Cyberpunk walkthrough. I'm going to go ahead. Uh, actually, hold on a second. Oops. Alright, so I'm going to go through today kind of explaining some tips and tricks. I did get a upgrade, so the new hire event happened. So I have my Eva to level 2, I've got Arachna to level 2, and I've got Electra to level 2. So that's really important for my team because essentially the end version of my team is going to have let me see, I'll turn that down a little bit, is going to have, whoops, wrong guy. Aniki, this guy here, or Anigok, whatever his name is, as the main super tank, specifically because he has this totem shield that gives my entire team essentially a 50% damage reduction or HP return from damage that's dealt to them. And then he also has an eternal tiger shield, which he'll give, like, it's essentially, let me see what those holodams are called. It's essentially like these holodams, their final ability. So where it gives permanent stacking damage reduction. So I'm going to need to have him so that she essentially has those holodams for the damage stacking reduction. So, but yeah, so I have that's going on there. So I'll be in the final stretch of getting the team finished. Technically speaking, I could probably make it a lot easier if I just pick 2 main DPS, had this character up to max, and just put her on the same team, like row as Sarah and her, because she inherently gives 2 protection statuses to 2 of your allies. But I did find that that does not help with indirect damage, so I'm hoping that my version is going to be better than just kind of taking the easy way out and getting, what's this chick's name? The Moana chick up to max, so we'll see. But regardless, alright, so tips. One of the first things, and I've mentioned this in my past videos, if you're playing the game, whether you're starting new, mid-game, or to like this stage where you're like level 120, just look at the heroes. Map out your character, figure out what their abilities do, figure out if they'll actually stack with each other and stuff like that and work with each other. One of the things I was waiting for, and it has helped, but it's not enough really with like the super hard mobs to survive because I don't have a true tank, is giving Eva the damage immunity from Arachna, and then Eva giving damage immunity every so often from her passive, which is this one here, where it's anytime you friendly unit obtains energy, they have an 80% chance to get a buff. And I mention that because what I'm finding is you need essentially 3 sources of damage immunity in order to, or some sort of damage reduction or self-healing, in order to compensate for fighting PvE targets that are like much stronger than you, like, 60 plus levels above you. So, right now for Arachna, she has her own damage immunity, she has the damage immunity of Sarah's shield, and she has the damage immunity given by this character, Wolfbane, on the next turn every time she uses her ability, which is every single turn. So she essentially has 3 stacking damage immunities, and that's why she tends to be a character that doesn't get killed right away. Eva now has 2 damage immunity stackings. Her third version of the damage immunity stacking will come from this here, the blue tree. The same concept will actually happen with this character here. So Eva's damage immunity comes from Arachna, from her holodams, and eventually her third version will come from these here. This chick's damage immunity is going to actually come from partial and part from Eva's passive ability, and then it'll come from the tiger shields that happen with what's his name, and then I'm hoping that that's enough to keep her alive, but I might end up having to put these ones on instead of the these crit ones, even though I think the crit ones are incredibly strong. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's where my team's at. So on the tips though, I wouldn't have been able to play that out if I hadn't literally gone through and like looked at so many of these characters to see which ones might be able to provide that. So as one of the tips though, again, if you're trying to fight mobs that are like much higher level than you, you pretty much need like 2 to 3 versions of damage stacking immunity, or they're just going to one-shot your team. So just keep that in mind as you get higher level. Like, you got to get damage immunity built up for PvE stuff. Okay, so first tip, yeah, make sure to always look through all of the abilities, look through the exclusive equipment, and actually plan out your team. Second tip, which is probably the biggest one regarding cycling events, I'll just go through each of them. So you have your perfect tire event. I personally would actually recommend early game just getting to like, I don't know, 20, 30, let's say 3 perfect tire purchases each time, unless you're like, super farming and stuff. Because this stuff here, even though it's really good getting the random core camps and these here, they're not hyper detrimental until you're like later in the game. So I would personally say that you don't really need to focus on any of these here, because these give you just random basic hires that you would be able to get normally just leveling up and farming normally. So I wouldn't say the perfect hire reward event is that important. What is important though is the obsidian event here. So the obsidian event, just from perfect hires alone, for about 130 is what I did, you get 13 of these stats. That's equivalent to purchasing the $30 value one, or like bundle. So the $30 value bundle. And what I found is if you don't purchase that bundle and you just do the $20 one, unless you're doing the perfect hire event within this 20-day time frame, it's not going to fill up all the way, because you can only spend so much gems in order to complete it. So it's very important. I would personally recommend actually not purchasing any of these until you're like to day 2, day 1, remaining on the event, just so you can make sure that you're actually going to be able to complete it, because otherwise you'll make the mistake where you purchase it for 20 and you don't get the final events, and the biggest rewards on this are the final like 2 categories, so you can really screw yourself over. So I would personally recommend don't purchase this until it's the final day of the event, so you know exactly what you need. So that's one tip. As far as the other events, when it comes to the excuse me, let's see here. When it comes to the, oh god, I thought I had this written down somewhere. I guess not. When it comes to the like depot store one, you can just select the ability, or these I don't know what you call them, objectives, and just complete them each of the days, and you don't have to like refresh all or do anything like that. I would personally say you need to save up 1,500 of the bullets and about 60 of the stars per piece of like legendary equipment, exclusive equipment that you want to get, because it costs 198 and you get 3 per every epic one. So I found that if you start the event with 60 badges, 1,500 bullets, you should be able to complete at least one. If you're trying to get 2 all in one time, you want to make sure to have 3,000 bullets and about 120, 130 badges, just to be safe. So for that event, I can't show the rewards, but the rewards for it are much more lucrative and important than the perfect hire event. So that is one that I would recommend that you save up all your resources until you can max out those events rewards. So don't you can early game like get up to where you get all of the perfect hires out of the events for, let's say, the first like 100 levels, but after that I would strongly recommend everyone saving your resources so you can max out the rewards on the Bold event, the arcade event, and the Dawn Cinema event. So the Dawn Cinema, similar thing as the Bold event, you can just select accept for these each of the days that you have them, and then on the days that you don't, I think it was roughly the same. To, let's see, max out, I think you got to have about 75 of the refreshes on this, and then about, I want to say it was like 2,200 or something for the main resource in order to make sure you can refresh, because it's roughly 30, I think it was 30 per, so let's see here. Yeah, so you want about, I would say 2,300 of the refresh rates, excuse me, to keep it safe. So, or guarantee that you'll be able to get the max rewards at the end of the event. So that one's that one. And then as far as the arcade, you don't need to select it or like roll the 2 times at all any of the days. The reason being is because the rewards you get from the arcade itself are minuscule, especially as you get like past level 60, which is pretty quick. And so you lose out on 20 gems from not completing it for this event, and you technically lose out on one emblem store piece, this one right here. But at the end of the day, that doesn't make any difference, because really the rewards you get from not spending 2 every single day, it adds up to like plus 80, which is an extra 100 rolls. So you're better off just saving it in order to get the max events. So tips for events: perfect hire doesn't really matter. The rewards aren't that important, but they are important for the obsidian order. So just make sure that if you're doing the obsidian order, you're purchasing the correct one, and probably just wait until the end of the day to figure that out. And then for the bullets, or the police corps and the cinema, make sure to have, for the police corps, at least 60 badges and 1,500 bullets. And for the cinema, if you want to max it out, you need to have 75 refreshes and 2,300 refresh, or sorry, 75 cinema, like whatever, reset things, and 2,300 of the resources to refresh them. So those are the main things on those events. Emblem store. So the emblem store here, I found it's just strictly a whale thing. Like, you're spending $30, essentially $50, in order to get a single one of these pieces, and that's all you can get. All you can get is this, which isn't worth that much. Or exclusive equipment. Maybe this will be better super late game. This will be better like super late game, but like the dream essences, you have ways to farm them as you get higher level to like 120 and stuff. The reinforcing hammer, there's more effective ways to get them. So personally, I found the most realistic useful thing is these recast buttons, because you don't have to waste your like guild resources on it. You can just purchase this from here and you'll naturally get at least 45 every so often. So that's my personal preference. I think recast is good to farm with this, but otherwise, unless you're a whale, I wouldn't spend money on it. It's the least amount of rewards possible. And then from there, you've got the guild store. So in the guild store, you have these honor, this specialized honor currency, which is from the guild clashes and things like that. I personally think, because it doesn't show it right here, but the best thing are essentially not these random core camps, but the select core camps. I would purchase those from here. You can technically purchase the boxes, but again, if you go to this here, you get those boxes naturally if you're like, spending money and stuff. And even if you aren't spending money and you don't want to do that, you can get them naturally from the farm system they have, which is this guy here. So essentially you get these every time that you deal damage to these guys, and then also if you kill them, you get more of those resources, and those resources allow you to make. So let me go right here. So 100 of them will give you one random camp piece. So it's not really worth it to spend money on trying to get those resources, because I think that as you level and you get more powerful, it'll be a lot easier to farm these, and you can just start maxing them out real fast. So I personally don't think that this purchase is really that important unless you're trying to really max out, just because all the resources that it provides are things that you'll naturally get, and you don't really have to like get it, where was I at? Oh, right, the gold farm. So anyway, so because of that, I would personally only use the honor to purchase the select core camp chips that you get. And then past that, I'm not sure, because it does take quite a while to get your teams fully suited up. So I don't know what you'd spend it on afterwards, but we'll figure that out later. And then as far as the basic stuff, truly, the only thing you need this for is for your personal ship upgrades, which are this here. So do be mindful, if you do spend it, you can't upgrade your ships. So that's what's required on your personal upgrades. So like I'll show you, like this one here, see it's 1,200 in order to upgrade that. So do be careful, don't just spend all your resources here, because that is required for your upgrades. Beyond the upgrades, you could spend it to get the core camps. I personally found that it's best just to spend it to get like piles of gold if you're short on gold, or these guys here. Actually, forging parts aren't bad. That's actually a really good ratio for forging parts, because you get about like, I think I'll buy a couple of those actually. That's actually probably a really good ratio for that, because like it takes 10,000 to get a single good gear, and 750 is not that much for your basic honor. So I'd probably recommend the core or the forging parts, and gold when you need it, and possibly like gear when you need it, but otherwise just save it for your ship upgrades. And then one of the last things is the store. So early game, if you're trying to get your heroes max so you can level fast, Perfect Hire, these here are the best purchases, and don't purchase anything else. It's a complete waste of money and time. You can purchase like this in order to get your, at the very, very early game, in order to get more resources to sell for example, like the upgrade hero star things, because each one of those will give you one of those upgrade heroes. But after like level 80, I don't think it's really that important, so I wouldn't waste silver or gold on that at all. And I would just purchase these for a bit until you have your core team, where a couple of upgrades on your heroes won't make that much of a difference with your PvE progression. Once that's done, and you're past kind of that, I would say it's around level 100, where, you know, getting a single hero upgraded isn't going to be that big of a deal to passing the levels. I personally just wouldn't spend any money or anything in this part of the special store at all, period. Period, unless for some reason you need to like get a single resource to finish an event or something like that. The best form of Perfect Hire is actually in this advanced training camp. These guys here, you'll get them for 900. Never buy the Perfect Hires except if it's through this, because that's, you know, minus 100 gold or gems that you have to use, and it's the best way to do it. And then for the heroes, this one here is very helpful. You get this resource every time you disenchant a hero, essentially. This one's really important because you get to farm these select heroes, like this one here, Phoebe, Canary, Harp. Technically, you can do like Magebane and things like that. All of those heroes are heroes that you can turn into legendaries, which is very useful when you have to get your heroes to 2-star and 3-star. So, for example, Sarah here requires a legendary hero. These guys will require a legendary hero. So you can kind of map out like, okay, which legendary heroes do I need, and then from there you'll be able to, you know, upgrade all of these guys to like 3-star, for example, later down the line. So that's normally what I use those for, is just to get those types of resources. The other thing is this one right here. So early game, I personally think it's perfectly fine saving up until you get a single purchase of this, because to my knowledge, you don't ever really need energy cores after maxing out your characters. There might be something else later down the line, or maybe it requires it when you turn them to red star, I'm not sure. But you don't really need more of these, so a single purchase in the beginning game is probably the best use of your pieces, because then you can get all your guys to maxed out stars quickly, so you can progress through the PvE content as fast as possible, so you can get more or better basic rewards compiling on each other, because you do get you know, per minute and per time EXP and things like that based on how far you are on the map. So let's see here. Okay, and then on the friend store, so the friend store, again, you don't need to purchase these. You don't really need to purchase these. Early game, I would purchase these here. I'd prioritize these because I think that it's really important to get all your heroes maxed out as far as star level, so all their abilities are going off. But after, let's say, level 100 or even level 80, I would just purchase the forging parts and any like resource for events. That's what I use the friend store stuff for. In order to get friend store resources, you have to have friends. Every single day you send them. One of the fastest ways to make sure that you continue getting resources is kicking people who are AFK for a day and just finding other people on there. Because you'll find that I don't want demigod. Ooh, I like this guy. I wonder if I'll be able to get him recruited. I'll try to recruit him. Anyway, so that's how you get the friend stores. You can choose to send the free ones or the ones that are quote-unquote at a cost. It doesn't like hurt you to send the higher reward one. I'll have to show it another time. But yeah, you can stack this friend stuff and then just purchase resources for events and forging parts. Same concept with Arena. It's not really worth because you can already get the hero select with like things like this to purchase the heroes here. If you're like off by one or something, then sure, and you're like about to be able to pass a big part of the PvE content, then sure, maybe purchase it. But otherwise, just save this for purchasing resources right here. This tab here, honestly, I'm not sure what it comes from. I would assume the best thing to buy here would be the reinforcing hammers. But I'll figure that out when I actually get to whatever content that is. Same thing with this, Dawn Cinema, save up till you get enough to purchase a resource, and then the hyperspace, and then as far as Dawn Cinema is concerned, I use this as my main way to get holodens. You don't really need to refresh unless you're really close to like completing something. But yeah, I use this as my main way to get holodims. During the cinema event, you get like 3 of them, and then you also get them. You get essentially 3 chances in the mine where you can, select them as well. I have found, and maybe this is just me, I think the odds to actually get an epic one are better on these ones here. And the reason for that, or legendary one, I mean, and the reason for that, I believe, is because this here, it's kind of weird. So I noticed that like when I was lower level, it was more likely for me to get legendaries than when I was up here, because I'll spend like 4 days not get a single legendary from doing this. So, and I think it's because the tool table is showing the refined coins as like a legendary source, and so I have gotten a lot more refined coins than actual legendary holodens. So I don't know if that's intentional or not. I guess refining is kind of important, so like maybe it's worth it, but if someone's leveling, they'll probably be able to know if, or like, put that theory to the test, because I do feel like you got more legendaries in this area than when doing the quick attacks on this area here, because I barely get any. Anyways. Okay. So those are for your farms. Showed the store. Alright, so then as far as early game, the big thing is just kind of do your daily stuff. So, do your arena battle. Oh, did someone attack me? Oh, I think someone attacked me. Nice. I didn't have my talent set for PvE, but yeah, everyone's getting 3-star Arachnas. I think my team's strong enough to survive against the red star Arachnas, but I probably not. I do need to get my Onigak to red in order to compete with the other red heroes. One of my big things with him is I'm planning to get his why he's going to be my first red star hero is because his equipment, where's it at? Right here. When entering battle, he will increase his speed by 20%, also increase the speed of all friendly units whose speed is lower than him, making their speed the same as his for 3 rounds. Mostly because once my team is weakest on turn 1. Once the engine rolls, it's much, much stronger because you have the Sarah's like yellow shield, you have Arachna's damage reduction accumulated for both Eva and her, and you'll also have, theoretically speaking, damage reductions being set for Electra. So I think once I get him, my guys all, number one, having their attacks happen first because his speed is going to be better, and he also has a core camp, or his, let's see here. So he will have that will increase his speed and give it to everyone else. He will also have this, which will increase his speed, the Tamer Suit. So I believe his base will be better than anyone else's heroes at like red. But that's kind of my strategy. So right now, people will have like stronger heroes than me, but I'm hoping once I finish getting him to max, it'll essentially elevate the rest of my team as if they were like all 3 stars. So we'll see. Let's see here. Okay, and another tip, make sure to do your ship routes It's very important for your progression in order to get, like, for example, these upgrades. So for PvE content, these upgrades right here increase attack of all your units, and then your units in the back is pretty stinking important. So I would say that if you're at least just doing PvE content, you want to make sure to get this ship, because the passive, the personal stuff happens outside of the event, I believe. So on that note, just kind of, pretty simple, but just correlate which resource you actually need and farm those ones. Let's see here. I already know about that. I know this is simple, but one of the things with the Dawn Cinema and their abilities, or not their, here, I'll go ahead, I shouldn't do this, but I'll just refresh one just to show. So, here, let me, is this a blue one? I need a blue one. There we go. Okay, so on these ones here, you'll see like pretty difficult rewards. So for example, you always want to go for the one that's higher. If I go to one that's like a red star, which again, I shouldn't be doing this, is a bit of a waste of resources, but that's okay. You're going to see ones like this, like 3 fallen heroes. Just like, oh god, how am I ever going to win that? The thing is, at least if you have one of the strongest teams on the server, it doesn't really matter if you select this difficult one, even if you only have level 1 heroes that are, because as long as you don't select this one where it says your guys need to be alive, you can just go like this, and for example, I'll just get rid of those. Which this might not work. To be fair, this might not work. But you'd essentially just put like that. So this might not work, but I'll try. Oh, I still won. Okay. So if you do it like that, even though theoretically, like, you're losing all your guys, as long as you're not selecting the reward that says you need your team to live, you can just put in like 1-star level guys if you don't have those camps to get the 15% increase versus like instead of having like 7% increase in rewards, you get a 15% increase, which is important because when you're trying to do the events, that's how you get the most points with the events. So just kind of showing you that there, that's a tip. Actually take a second to look and see what you're applying for your increase in percentage, and it will significantly help you being able to get your rewards in the cinema event. So yeah, there's that there. Hyperspace, same thing. It's just a basic way to test out your heroes. I guess I'll go ahead and show how my heroes or my team is doing now. Let's change all this to defensive. Okay, I'll go ahead and play a few matches. Oh, and you'll see it sometimes on these matches. My heroes in the same row as Sarah will just like max heal out of nowhere. The reason that's happening is because Sarah has an exclusive equipment that says anytime one of the heroes in her row gets their HP reduced below 20, they get healed by her HP. So that's why it essentially max heals them, because her HP is so much higher than the rest of them. Alright, so they are twice my power level. Yeah, see, the damage output of the Electra and Eva is back up now, because before it was just pretty much Arachna doing all the damage. So, and interestingly enough, Arachna is like a perfect AoE fighter, but she actually is much weaker for single targets than, for example, Electra. So. Nice. Yeah, so on certain higher level heroes or mobs, Arachna actually doesn't have enough damage to like kill them out, and Electra's damage is much more consistent against single targets. So interestingly enough, it actually helps keep my stuff alive. Now, another thing too is normally I don't get this far. Like normally at least half my team's dead here, so it does look like having the 2 stars of everyone is significantly helping. We are getting to the stage though where the raw stats of the enemy PvE heroes are a bit too much. So I'm guessing I'm going to lose most of my team here. And you can kind of see the weak link. Like the first hero to go was Electra. You know, I'm going to have her abilities that's going to give her the second stage of damage immunity, and then also Anigok will give her damage immunity, so I'm hoping that'll solve that. But we'll see. And another thing too is Eva does need her exclusive equipment that heals people and gives damage immunity as well when they're low HP, so I think that'll help her stay alive as well. Let's see here. Kind of surprised. I don't think I can... I don't know. I could try. I could try. I doubt I'll be able to survive here, but it's worth a shot. Damn, that sucks. My shield went down. Yeah, team's over. Okay. So it can't be people that are 7 times stronger than me, but that's okay. So anyways, hyperspace though, great way to do that. Team's doing a little better, but I think it'll really shine and explode in power once I get Onigok to level to red star. So we'll see. So yeah, besides that, another thing I found out that's a new thing is where's it at? These are the cyber things. I don't know how these work. I don't know how you get the additional like rewards. I'm guessing it has something to do with like, I'm guessing, hold on, actually, I think I might be able to test this. Is it, hold up, it says arrow down. Yeah, it says arrow down, 3 up. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, once I figure out what has to do with the cyber wear, I'm assuming it'll unlock something else. The only place you can farm cyberware that I could tell is like the super special events. So I'm not sure if it's really worth it or what have you. The last thing I guess I'll mention again is the Uncanny Store. So I updated it. I don't think you should get reinforcing hammers from it. I actually think you should get these essence cubes. And the reason being is because your gear for this incredibly important talent system needs to be 3-star slotted so that you can max out all of the talents. So in other words, you could get theoretically 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 talents or 18 slots, and each of them can get you, I believe, a 6-star. So 18 times 6, that's 100 levels. So you could essentially almost get 2 separate things maxed out as far as abilities go in the hyper end game. So I would say because of that, the only thing you should be using the Uncanny Trader Store for is to get these essence cubes. You're going to get these naturally elsewhere. There's plenty of ways to get reinforcing hammers elsewhere. This is the only way to get these legendary epic ones from non-exclusive events kind of stuff. Even the emblem store doesn't have them, so yeah. That is my one big tip I would say is, yeah, definitely start at least at level 100 or from the beginning of the game, start farming these, and then maybe get 1 or 2 reinforcing hammers from the obsidian order or something like that, and then pretty much, yeah, it's just level up your heroes early game to about level 100, then start farming your stuff out for the gear system, this thing here, so reinforcing hammers and cubes and whatnot, recast. One of the people that watched the video did make a comment about making sure to recast your gear to higher level. So that'll be this here. So example like this, you can randomly get 2 recast upgrades. I personally didn't with my Electra just because she's already, mostly because I don't know if I'm actually going to keep her as a hero because it might end up that Onigok is not a worthwhile combo, and that's better off just to use Moana and then have 2 different types of heroes. But as long as you get them to S level with side buff that you want, I would say that's good enough if you're playing more casual. But technically, if you want to go full extreme, you'll want to recast them until you get 2 separate stats landed on them. So recasting is very important because once a gear is legendary, or not legendary, whatever, when they're red level, you cannot change their stats anymore. You can, however, dismantle them, I believe. And I don't know if that removes everything or how that all works. I'm not touching the button because I don't want to ruin it. But if anybody knows what the dismantle actually does, if it just removes like their slots or if it actually deletes the equipment, very important to know. And then, yeah, see, I could technically put in slots here. I'm not going to. But yeah. So you can, what is this drill for? Oh, okay. So drilling is going to be the thing that lets you put the slots in. Again, I would say just wait till you have 3-star and just put that in. Inserts will be putting in the, gems, and I'd say don't do that until you have a maxed out gem. Like, for example, this one here. That would be a maxed out gem. Level 6, and then dismantle would be, I don't know if, again, it deletes the equipment, but I wouldn't mess around with it. Yeah, and then imitation, I did find out, yes, it does randomly select your heroes, or select one of the 5. I happen to get Moana, not the hero that I wanted, but oh well. And then it does take 600 imitation replacements to get your guy, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is, whatever. Okay. And that's about all I've learned so far. So I'll go ahead and possibly tidy up the tips list at some point. But as of right now, early game, get your heroes leveled up, get them all 4-starred, save up for the events for just the perfect hire stuff. So for example, anything, I think it's like plus 80 on the resources for the individual weekly events will get you like plus 10 perfect hires. Farm those, but after level 100, kind of do what I mentioned as far as like saving up your resources, and just focus on getting the gear stuff, because it'll again unlock this new gear system, which is this stuff here. So yeah, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and have a good day.